What if you take learning, the ability to be an effective person, that's usually what I talk about, just how to be effective in life, how to be persuasive, how to program your own mind, how to know how to operate in the world. If you took those and took them down to a really easily digestible 2 minutes-ish, how many things could you learn in a year if every one of those things you learned was only 2 minutes? And jokingly, I would call that Turd University. I've said this before. You may have heard me joke about this. If you could create a college course that would be 2-minute lessons and nothing more, and you could have them run every time you use the bathroom, so you just put a little screen in your bathroom, and every time you go in there, it gives you a 2-minute lesson, no more. And you can listen to it or not listen to it. But I feel like all you would do is use the bathroom for a year and you'd come away with a degree, 2 minutes at a time. You may know that I've been moving a lot of my content to the Locals network. It has these live streams I put up there on Locals as well. So it's locals.com is where you would go to find me. It's a subscription service, but I wanted to tell you what's on there. I'm just going to read you a list of the micro lessons I've put there. And you can see how long the list is. It's pages after pages. I'll just read you some of them so you don't have to hear them all, page after page. So the micro lessons are this. It's a 2 or 3 minute lesson that gives you something useful that you could use like right away, that you can completely master in 2 or 3 minutes. And I just put them in little videos and in some cases a blog post. But here are the types of things I put there. How to beat writer's block, that was the new one. How to stop procrastinating, getting rid of unwanted thoughts. So most of these either are based on something in my books or based on my background in persuasion and hypnosis. So that's the background that's in most of these. Let's see, hoax creation, how to create a hoax, triggers and frames, confidence, how to increase your confidence, how to take a mental vacation, persuasion, lots of things on persuasion, programming your own brain, spotting persuasion, motivating employees, how to say no, success secrets of the Beatles, the fake because, changing what people want, managing your energy, not your time, the meaning of life, how to do good design, blah, 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 blah. All right, so you get a sense of it. It's about tips for success and persuasion and being more effective. So the bigger picture, besides the fact that I'm obviously embedding a commercial in this live stream, is that I think there's something in this model that's important. I've told you before that the way you can find out if something works is if you put something out there and then other people who see it take it and modify it. That's always a good sign that there's something good. If somebody takes it and then they extend it or modify it or work with it and copy it or whatever. And when I started publishing these micro lessons, I saw that at least one of my followers on Locals started publishing his own. So he would take my larger videos and take out a little clip, and he'd say, hey, here's a micro lesson that even I hadn't contemplated, and then he's posting it with the micro lesson hashtag. So that is a perfect example of when I tell you that you have something special that people will care about when you see them act with their physical body to go do something. So here's somebody who's spending considerable time to edit my videos down to a little minute or whatever and then post them. And he's not being paid for it or anything. It's just something he thought was useful to do. Now, that usually signals that there's something important there. But the larger piece of importance is the mechanism. I have this hypothesis that because our attention spans have shrunk because of tweets and technology, etc., so we can no longer sit down and read a book as easily as we could. Now we can read a tweet and then move on to something else. So what if you take learning, the ability to be an effective person. That's usually what I talk about. Just how to be effective in life. How to be persuasive, how to program your own mind, how to know how to operate in the world. If you took those and took them down to a really easily digestible 2 minutes-ish, how many things could you learn in a year if every one of those things you learned was only 2 minutes? And what I do is I don't take something that's useful but fits in 2 minutes. I take the biggest, most important things you could ever learn in your life. Things that would change the whole course of your life. And by the way, people tell me that all the time, especially the people who've read these books. They talk about how it's completely changed the course of their life in a variety of ways. So if you could take something that has that much importance, potentially, shrink it down to 2 minutes so that anybody can consume it without pain, that may be a thing. I feel like Microlessons, and jokingly I would call that Turd University. I've said this before. You may have heard me joke about this. If you could create a college course that would be 2-minute lessons and nothing more, and you could have them run every time you use the bathroom, so you just put a little screen in your bathroom, and every time you go in there, it gives you a 2-minute lesson, no more. And you can listen to it or not listen to it. But I feel like all you would do is use the bathroom for a year and you'd come away with a degree, 2 minutes at a time. And the importance of this is, I think we have to rethink learning in the current world about where we get it. Do you go to a physical place like a classroom, or is it being fed to you continuously through all of your screens? And I would argue that Turd University is an example of bringing the knowledge to you that maybe you didn't even know you needed. Maybe you didn't sign up for a course on how to program your own brain, but since it was only 2 minutes, you listened to it, and then you learned how to program your brain. 2 minutes, pretty good stuff. Yeah, PragerU. Actually, I'm not inventing anything here except maybe coining the phrase microlesson. But PragerU does this brilliantly. Their videos are very, very tight little things on one point. Now, their case is usually in the world of politics and social issues, but I try to go for effectiveness, things that will make you immediately a more effective person. So, that is your Coffee with Scott Adams for today. If you're watching the clock, you'll note that I went 57 minutes with basically 5 minutes of preparation, which is just cutting and pasting a few things I saw on Twitter into my account, or into a piece of paper that I read. So, I started by telling you that the Dale Carnegie course gives you some valuable skills in your skill set, and then I modeled them. So this was 57 minutes of effectively unplanned. I had, 10 minutes to pull some thoughts together, but effectively unplanned. And if you thought it worked, then you should say to yourself, what's this Dale Carnegie thing? If I could do that, 53 minutes, somebody says. So if you could do what I just did, what would that do to your life? Just think about that. Just think of this one skill that is learnable. It's not a natural thing. I wasn't born being able to do this. I learned it, and I practiced it until I could do it well enough. But imagine what would happen at work if you could stand up and give a coherent speech at the drop of a hat with not even worrying about it. What would that do to you? Your whole life would be different if you could stand in front of a group and confidently say whatever you want at the drop of a hat. That's just one of probably 50 different things that you could learn on Locals that would make you more effective.